We're going to get political for a second. Can you break down from your understanding the nuances of how the 94 crime bill came together and give some context, because it's used as such a political football, and then talk about how that bill failed Black Americans specifically?
So I think it really tracks back, whether we want to go to Ronald Reagan's launch of the war on drugs in 1982, or even going back to Richard Nixon's launch of a war on drugs in the late 1960s, or even Lyndon B. Johnson's quote, war on crime. What effectively the 94 crime bill was the sort of end result of decades of perspectives that the cause of growing amounts of violent crime in neighborhoods that were conceived of as Black were the result of, as would be said the year later, those Black people being super predators.
Right.
As a result, we need to have law and order. As a result, we need to have 3 strikes and you're out. As a result, we need to have more cops on the street, 100,000 more officers. As a result, we need to build more prisons, because this is the only way to stop those animals, literally super predators. And what was also happening that the American people did not want to recognize is that those very same neighborhoods that had growing amounts of violent crime also had growing levels of poverty and long-term unemployment.
Yeah.
And so we, I should say, the American people were seeing these places as dangerous Black neighborhoods, when it's actually more accurate to call them dangerous unemployed neighborhoods. But in seeing them as dangerous Black neighborhoods, they were like, okay, you know what? We need to essentially control these animals with more prisons and more police, and even more restrictive laws and minimum sentences to stop these people. And the 94 crime bill was one of the critical elements in that, which then led to this mass incarceration, of Black and brown people, unlike anything the world had ever seen, and certainly the United States had ever seen. And now, as a result, we incarcerate more people by far than any other country, in the world. And what if all along we were like, let's fight crime with jobs and resources and opportunities? And I think, so many lives have been lost and so many people have been caged, as a result of this old idea that Black people are dangerous.
Yeah. And the CBC was supportive of this bill, right? Bernie Sanders was supportive of this bill, right?
Yeah, the majority of CBC members supported the crime bill, just as you had Black people in Black neighborhoods believing that their neighborhoods, I grew up in Jamaica, Queens. It was constantly fed to me that my neighborhood was dangerous, and it was dangerous because Black people were there. And so I'm sure even older folks, they were told the same thing.
Yeah.
That, it's so dangerous because there's so many Black people. We need cops to protect us. And of course, those people are constantly complaining to their elected officials. We need protection. There's this belief that you have more police, that crime goes down, even though that's never been proven, right? And so, people, even Black folks, push for it. And indeed, there was a great book by James Foreman, who is a law professor at Yale, but it documents how, in particular, Black city council men, in particular, in the 80s and late 70s, were actually a part of the wave of trying to establish these minimum sentencing laws, which really helped jumpstart the mass incarceration, of Black people. And so you had these Democrat local elected officials partnering with these Republicans, because it was bipartisan, right? Coming down on the head of Black people.
Bill Clinton was trying to appear tough on crime at that point, right? To appeal to conservatives.
Exactly. And because he was like, I'm not going to allow any Republican to see more tough on crime on me. And in 1994, to be tough on crime was to be tough on Black people, because Black people were colored as criminals.
Right. just warn you. What we done started. Look at what we done started. This the people party. When opportunity knocking, then young nigga move that door. Whoa, get your foot stuck in it, call me young, go get it. Now you can't fuck with it, might as well roll with it. What's the word?